everyone, and thanks for joining this session. We've got a really fantastic little panel today on whether digital performance has killed creativity. So my role is to kind of be provocateur in this and make the case for actually creativity has suffered at the hands of digital performance. But I'm going to be joined by a panel of really fantastic innovators who I'd like to welcome to the stage. We've got Adam from Stampix. Adam? Yeah. Round of applause for Adam, please. We've got Janine from Inkpact. Yeah.
Simon,
Simon, sorry. Simon from Stampix. We've got Andy. Andy, join us. And we've got Elliot from Wyspr. And Alex, last but not least, from Conferwith.
Yeah.
Brilliant, nice to meet you guys. So we're going to have a little chat about digital performance and has it really upset creativity and disrupted creativity? But before we get started, you guys are in the space of innovation and startups and really sort of putting new ideas on the table. So for the benefit of our audience, it would be great to hear a quick elevator pitch from you guys. Tell us what you do and where you fit in this ecosystem.
All right. Everybody hears me? Okay. I'm Simon from Stampix, and we are a photo reward solution for brands. And so basically what we do is we help brands build emotional loyalty with personal photos that we print and ship to millions of consumers as a tangible reward.
Cool. Janine?
Hey, I'm Janine. I work for Inkpact. We humanise brands through handwritten notes, so help them really get in touch with their customers and drive the behaviour that they're looking to with genuinely handwritten notes sent through the post.
Hello, I'm Andy. I'm co-founder of Favoured. We are a performance marketing agency, so interestingly, this topic is close to my heart. But I'm also a creative, so this will be an interesting discussion, I think.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Elliot, co-founder of Wyspr. It's our aim and mission to create a more democratic version of advertising. We're doing this by allowing any consumer to become an influencer. This way, brands and agencies can reach an audience of friends and family rather than fans and followers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Cheeseman. I'm the VP of Growth for Conferwith. We're a live one-to-one video solution. So we really try to replicate that in-store experience that you have, but in the online world.
Cool, fantastic. So I'm going to throw it out there that it's a lot easier to test media rather than creative. So how would you guys, how can you work out the value of a brand ad versus digital performance? Janine, can we start with you maybe?
What was the question, sorry?
So we know how to measure media, we've got performance marketing for that, but do we truly know how to measure the impact of creative?
I think we should know how to, because whatever you're doing should be trying to drive your general business KPIs. So if you've got a KPI to drive retention or drive second purchase or something like that, then you should be shifting one of those metrics with whatever activity that you're doing, whether that be online, whether that be offline.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that it's hitting and adjusting those KPIs. So if it's not doing that, it's not working. If it is doing that, then it is working. I think sometimes we can overcomplicate these things.
And Simon, can we be truly sure that your creative's not working? Can you measure creativity?
Yeah, maybe we are waiting for Elon Musk to evolve Neuralink so we can actually measure in the brain whether creative is working. But no, I do think I agree with the statement, but mainly because of the performance element in there. The rise of digital channels as such has given a positive pressure, in my opinion, to creative, because you need to stand out to grab attention. So there's more ads, we're being swamped by them. Ads need to get better. But there's a confusion on the performance element, because not everything that you measure has impact, or the way around. There are things that have a lot of impact that you simply can't measure.
Okay, Elliot, what do you think?
I think there's so many attribution tools out there now that it really does help do this, but it's such a tough one because creativity is so subjective. it depends what you're looking for, how you're measuring it as well, what your objective is. But with platforms, say like TikTok, they do half the work for you. The audience verifies how creative that is. The most creative content, regardless if you have 10 followers or 1 million, comes to the top of the algorithm, right? Which is partly what I believe is kind of killed away the creative aspect in paid marketing. But
can I just?
Andy, yeah,
I mean,
of course.
I do agree with it, and I think you mentioned something interesting earlier. How do you know if a piece of creative isn't working? I think if you're too reliant on the ad level or platform level metrics, sometimes you're missing a trick, because if you're not looking further down the funnel to identify, actually, you know what, that piece of creative is getting a high cost per click or a slightly lower click-through rate, but it's driving, long-term subscribers to your product or app. And I think it's really interesting and important to make sure that you're analyzing creative performance across the funnel, not just at ad platform level.
Andy, any thoughts on this at all?
Yeah, I think we can all be doing a better job, right? If you had Byron Sharp sitting on this stage today talking about the evidence-based marketing and the reports that they have out of the Ehrenberg Bass Institute, he would be saying, absolutely, we should be measuring creativity and actually figuring out how that drives effectiveness. I don't think enough of us are doing that. So I think there's a way to go, but I think there's enough momentum behind things now to encourage people to do more, right?
Okay, cool. Brilliant. Any do you want to follow on that point?
No,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it to you guys that it's because the aim here is to be a bit provocative. It's much more fashionable to invest in tech than people. So let's all invest in shiny new tech, but should we not be investing in creativity and young people perhaps coming through the ranks? You have a go at that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And if I speak to my media buyers who are running campaigns, for example, the first thing they'll tell me is, oh, we need more UGC. UGC is working, and that's fantastic. I think UGC can be genuine, it can be real, but the first thing they'll do is try and script it too tightly. They'll try and look at the data to identify which bits of messaging are driving that click-through rate. How are we structuring that piece of UGC? But I think we're slightly missing a trick. Kids these days have grown up with a camera in their pocket, and they know how to use it. And what I would love to see as a creative marketeer is actually less reliance on briefed UGC and a bit more freedom on looking at content creators, how they can be creative with their material, still having all the hallmarks of UGC and really engaging content, but allowing them to be creative with it. Obviously within the brand guidelines and all the kind of stuff you have to do with creative for the clients that you're running it for.
Janine?
Yeah, I think that it is more fashionable to invest in tech, and it's also cheaper to invest in tech than people. And I don't know about all of you, but I feel like the more companies are investing in tech, customer service, I haven't necessarily thought has got better. It's actually got worse.
Yeah.
Is anyone excited to see a chatbot? No. Are they actually going to solve my problems? Rarely. Whereas humans and people and one-to-one connection, like these guys do, kind of connecting people in store with people, with their customers, that's tech that has people behind it. So it's a good combination. We're a human business because people write all of our notes, but we also need tech to make that scalable.
Yeah.
So you can't just rely on one because it's cheaper. If it's not driving a good customer experience, then people should be the answer.
Yeah,
Simon, is this something you recognise that?
I definitely recognize it, and I would agree. As an entrepreneur myself, running a scale-up, it's very tempting to invest in the latest tech, but you need also shiny, bright people rather than shiny, bright technology to use that tech, to leverage its maximum potential.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is we're very good at these binary questions, right? It's never one or the other. I think the reality, and if you look at the way that agencies are set up, and there's this kind of pendulum that swings between let's do absolutely everything or let's specialize, right? And I think the reality is that people are now going through this kind of thing where actually we can't do everything. We can't be super, super creative. We can't be incredible at tech. Let's actually get really good at one thing. And I think that's the focus, right? And that's frankly, I think, where we are in the world right now.
Alex?
Yeah, it's a kind of a tech-enabled business. people often forget about the creative people behind the tech itself. You know, it's having a good product person, a good techie, people that worked in the industry that are building it. They kind of put that creativity into the software, because ultimately it's people that use it at the end of the day. So if you've got a relatable user journey and experience, and you're putting it into the hands of people that have been in your position, like you kind of imbue that technology with your own creativity. So I think not enough people focus on that aspect as well.
You can't replace a human. Technology cannot replace a human creative yet, right? Or
Yeah,
can it?
no,
That's the question, right? How far away are we from that, right?
I mean, you're seeing like AI-generated content where you type in a few words. It's not released to the public yet, but it's in testing in their version 2. And you can type in like, you know, horse, sea, cowboy, and it will come up with a piece of content, a variation for you. And I believe it's on the way, but yeah, it's still like tech-enabled rather than tech-driven.
Okay, cool.
As a creative, that scares me a little bit because, you know, it's going to be a dying art. And if you give that power to a media buyer, you know, that's going to be an interesting turn of events, I'd say.
Yeah, but you've got these celebrities now that are pretty much kind of like AI-driven, right? And they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And is that creativity any better than a human artist?
Okay, so we've got a couple more minutes, so maybe we'll get a couple more questions in. But do you think the obsession with measuring absolutely everything that we can possibly measure is potentially leading us to overvalue activity closest to the sale and perhaps undervaluing things that happen earlier on in the sales process? Simon, do you want to have a go at that one?
I do agree with your statement, and tying it back to my own business, we're often challenged on measuring everything from the digital journey, and that's very easy. We can measure how many people click on a link, if they opt in for e-coms, how long they spend on uploading their personal photos. But then when the end result arrives in the mailbox, I'll show you one. This is a personal photo with Budweiser branding on the reverse. That will hang on the fridge for several years. It's impossible to measure how it impacts the buying decision downstream, so you can't simply measure everything.
Janine?
I think there's vanity measures and there's real measures.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think you can overdo real measurement and what something's actually driving in your customer base and the behavior change that it's driving. I don't think you can over-analyze that, but I do think that you can overly rely on vanity measures. Sometimes vanity measures can look like likes, comments, and shares, but I think sometimes those are indications that your customers are loving something that you've done, and so they're liking, sharing, and commenting. But only, again, coming back to my first point, like only if it is actually shifting the needle on your overall measurement is that good enough.
Okay.
I think this is as well for like the smaller brands. People forget about them. You know, they're the ones that can't rely on the creative aspect as much as the bigger brands, building brand equity. You know, they have to rely on the paid aspect, which is where I feel a lot of the creativity is kind of taken away, because obviously these smaller brands have to get a return on investment. So they're testing all sorts of creative, seeing what works, and sometimes it's boring creative, really, I think, but it works. You know, like you can trick the human psychology into clicking through, and that's part of the challenge now. Like before, all this tech-driven aspect of marketing, you had to create a really compelling reason to gain someone's attention. You don't now. Facebook, Google, they do half of that work for you. They've got your attention, they know what you want, it's just about serving it to you, and that can be not as high quality as it would be, say, 20 years ago, in my opinion.
Just because you can measure something doesn't mean that you should, right? And there's that constant tension between the heart and mind. And actually, I think we should spend more time listening to our heart, because actually you should do things because they feel good and you know it, right? And you will never get the data to reassure you around it.
I agree with that. I think, you know, if we look back at the campaigns you remember, like the Guinness horses coming out of the waves, you know, those great ads, they were born out of creativity and not performance. And whilst they may have performed great because we still remember them, it was the creativity at the heart of that thing which made it special.
So we're going to go to an audience vote in a minute and see if we can pass this motion that digital performance has killed creativity. So we've got a few more minutes just to convince the audience whether it has or whether it hasn't. So is this really a binary thing, looking at performance, data, measurement versus creativity? Can you really have both? Can they work hand in hand together?
I think you have to have both.
Yeah.
I think that you need creativity to drive digital performance, but if you're only looking at digital channels, then you're probably not going to be particularly creative.
Okay. Alex?
If you think that creativity is dead, go back in time 2 weeks and look at the Croisière in Cannes and look at all of the awards and all of the incredible work that was coming out of that. Creativity is not dead, but we are walking down a very dangerous path where people believe that they can build a brand using search terms in Google AdWords, and that just doesn't work.
You had no choice before. You had to build a cool brand. You had to get someone's attention and make your brand sexy or fun. I mean, look at Dr. Martens, the original, boot for punks. They had to insert themselves in a subculture and say, I'm here, this is what I stand for. You don't have to do that as much now, particularly for the smaller brands that can enter the marketing world and start up a Shopify store, just start driving sales. Like it's killed, in my opinion, part of the creativity of the process.
I think it's telling that the biggest impact on your ads is not the levers you pull around targeting or trying to get those CPMs down. The biggest impact is the creative, and I think creativity still is at the heart of what we do. Whether the measurement is killing what we do because we're trying to drive the thing that's going to get the best idea, that may stifle it. When we run campaigns, we always have 20% of our budget on sandbox, we call it, and that is completely out there ideas. And sometimes you hit that winner based on no data.
Yeah.
It's just a great idea, and it
Magic
works.
and luck. Yeah. So we've got about a minute, 2 minutes left, so 30 seconds to convince the audience whether pursuit of digital performance has killed creativity or not. Simon?
I do think the emphasis on performance has killed creativity. Like I explained before, the winning combination is in both, and that's why it's very tempting to only focus on channels that are 100% measurable, to be blindsided by the numbers. There is something like the gut feeling, there is something like creativity that we all can relate with, and many things have a big impact which you can't measure.
Okay, Janine?
I don't think it's killed creativity. I think it's created more noise that people need to work harder to cut through.
So 1-1 with the panel here.
I'm conflicted because as a creative and a marketeer, I
Can't sit in the fence. That's
data
not what
is
these sessions
important.
are all about.
I actually believe that it's not a threat. They say necessity is the mother of all invention, and I think it may create great ideas, performance-driven stuff, but you do need to keep creative at the heart of it.
I'm going to say 2 for creativity. Elliot?
I'd say it's lowered the quality of creativity, lowered the need for it. Like, think about the most coolest advert you've ever seen. Probably wasn't on a social media ad, right? It's probably on a billboard or a TV ad. Things that weren't tracked. It's still out there, but on the digital channels, you don't need to have that as much anymore. So I'd say it's killed the need for creativity on online marketing.
Okay. And Alex?
Creativity is live and kicking, frankly. I think budgets are shifting slightly out of the performance but then back into brand, but I still think there's a long way to go. It's happening. The revolution is on its way.
Okay, that's a nice way to end it, and we are going to have a little audience vote. I thought the best way to prepare this session, by the way, was by speaking to Rory Sutherland. So he gave me a few ideas to put to you guys. But let's put it to a vote. Has the pursuit of digital performance killed creativity? Can we have hands in the air, please? I'm going to say it has. Anyone? This feels like an episode of Ready, Steady, Cook. Those who think that it hasn't killed creativity, I'm vastly outnumbered. So we've lost that one. We didn't pass that motion, but I'd like to thank our panel for a really interesting debate. That was really good fun. And thank you, the audience, for getting involved as well. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.